Welcome to Atlanta News First Sports Plus tonight. What is it? Atlanta News First Plus Sports tonight. Rick Folbaum.
What is this show called?
It's called whatever we want it tonight. It's our Super Bowl preview tonight. It's Friday before the Super Bowl. Who better to have on the show?
Go Eagles!
Rick Folbaum.
Fly, Eagles,
Philly
fly.
area native. He's ready to go. He's fired up. Rick, I know you can't wait for Sunday.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I got to tell you before we start talking here, Fred, that I don't typically, advertise that I'm an Eagles fan. I mean, here I work in Atlanta, and I certainly don't want to offend any of our viewers who I know are diehard Falcons fans. And I assure you that if the Falcons were in the Super Bowl, I would be rooting for them, but they're not. So instead, I'm rooting for the team that I have been rooting for since I was a little kid. I grew up in South Jersey, just in the shadows of Philadelphia, not far from the old Veterans Stadium, where the Eagles used to play for so many years, Phillies too. And so even though I have moved away from the Philadelphia area, I have maintained my Philly sports fandom, as you know, Fred, because in between newscasts, we talk a lot of sports around here in the newsroom.
I know you say you have to be. What a year for Philly, huh? I mean, your whole family, everybody's got to be excited for the year that's happened, huh?
Listen, these are very heady days for Philadelphia sports fans, and we're not accustomed to this. This is not a city, like some others in the country, title towns, that you can think of. Obviously, we had the New York Yankees that had that long stretch of success. The Patriots, of course, in the NFL. Philadelphia is not thought of as one of those cities. We are thought of as a sports town, a passionate sports fans, but when it comes to success, we have not had a lot. Now, the Eagles, of course, were in the Super Bowl kind of recently. They won in 2018 after the 2017 season. So it's not like they haven't won in a long, long time, but it certainly would be nice for them to win it again this year. And they're going up against a really tough Chiefs team.
Well, of course, before that game, the Philly was the Philly special. Nick Foles, right? The quarterback snuck out, made that play. That was incredible. Doug Peterson called it. Go ahead.
I have a coffee mug at home that says the Philly special, and it has the X's and O's of that play completely drawn out. I mean, that is probably the most famous and beloved play in the history of Philadelphia sports. And of course, you talk about the Philly. This is where Nick Foles, who was the backup quarterback, who had to come in the last couple of games, and during the playoffs of that season when Carson Wentz, their starter, went down, and Foles just played unbelievably. And then there was one play right at the end of the first half of that Super Bowl where they were I believe they were like on the 1 yard line. With only a couple of seconds left on the clock. Nick Foles went over to talk to Doug Peterson, who was the head coach at the time, and they had that quick little, should we do the Philly special, Philly?
Yeah.
And they agreed. Peterson called the play, and of course this was the play that was just unbelievable, where Foles, the quarterback, lined up to the side in the slot, and then the ball was hiked to a running back, who then dished it off to another player, who then threw to Foles, who at that point had run into the end zone and was wide open for the touchdown right before the half. And I think, I remember at the time watching it with my family, and that's when we really believed that the Eagles had a chance to win that Super Bowl.
Because prior to that, it was Donovan McNabb, and it was really, it was 2004, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
Yes. It was
I mean, that was tough. I'm saying, though, but I mean, you've been through some tough times.
That's right.
As Eagles fans. That was going to the Super Bowl, and then prior to that, of course, was what? 30 years, maybe 20
Prior to that
years,
was 1981, I believe.
With, Dick Vermeil.
Dick
right?
Vermeil and Ron Jaworski was the quarterback, and that was against the Oakland Raiders, the old Oakland Raiders, and the Raiders, of course, beat the Eagles. And that was their only Super Bowl appearance until they won it in 2017, and we're hoping that they pick up another win on Sunday night.
And that really is cool. Of course, the quarterback is special, but the defense really makes a lot of plays on both teams, but the defense really for Philadelphia has been stout.
I mean, I'm really excited to see how the Eagles defense goes up against Mahomes, who of course, is, arguably the best quarterback in the game right now, one of the greatest of all times. And I know that he's injured. Of course, he hurt his leg. He has that high ankle sprain. So I don't know exactly, where he is in terms of how close he is to 100%. But even Mahomes at 60% is pretty good. So the Eagles defense, they're going to have their work cut out for them. I've been keeping my eye on Hassan Reddick. He is just such an exciting player coming out of the backfield. He I'm not sure if he's the leader on the team in sacks this season, but if he's not, he's pretty close. He has just put together one of the most impressive defensive seasons of any Eagles player that I can remember in a long, long time. And he happens to be from the Philadelphia area. He's from South Jersey, like I am. And so he grew up rooting for the Eagles. He played college at Temple in Philadelphia.
That's
he
perfect, right?
He is a Philly guy who's now playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think he's going to have a really big game. I predict a couple of sacks on Mahomes on Sunday night.
And he's the guy that comes off the edge. He's number 7, comes off the edge, and man, he flies off, and he's just hard to block. And I don't want to say he's unblockable because I'm sure that they'll try, but it's been very tough to block him so far. But Patrick Mahomes, the newly crowned MVP.
Yep.
He was also the Super Bowl 54 MVP, right?
That's right.
And then you've got the runner-up in the MVP and Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts, to me, is such a great story because I always thought he was neglected a little bit, replaced at Alabama. And then, of course, Tua did lead Bama to the national championship. Then the next year, it was kind of reversed where, Jalen went in and kind of saved the day in a couple of games there. So Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, they've got to love him there, don't they?
Oh, they love him. I mean, to be honest with you, there were a lot of people who were Jalen Hurts doubters.
Yeah.
For a long time, they were talking about his arm not being strong and powerful enough to be an effective QB1 in the NFL. But I don't think anybody is questioning that anymore. I mean, he is one of those dual threat players. He can beat you with his arm, and of course he can beat you with his legs. And that's really the problem for the Chiefs this weekend, is how do you defend against all of the tools that Philadelphia brings with their offense. I mean, it really is just unbelievable when you think about Hurts obviously is the quarterback who's able to do so much. But then you've got, running backs and 3 of them. Any one of them could rush for 100 yards in a game. I mean, Miles Sanders, just unbelievable. Boston Scott, also incredible, having a great season, plays a lot on special teams in the return game. And then you have Kenneth Gainwell, who rushed for over 100 yards in one of the earlier playoff matches. And so these are guys that are just unbelievable. How do you defend them all? And then on the receiver side, you've got Devontae Smith, who would be a wide receiver one on any other team. But of course, A.J. Brown was signed in the offseason to a huge contract. He now comes over to the Eagles and has an incredible season. So you've got 2 receivers, you've got just a running back core that is tough to stop, and you've got a quarterback who can pretty much do it all. And I think there are a lot of people who feel like this is the best Eagles football team that has ever been assembled.
Wow.
Really? If you look at the roster, I mean, from top to bottom, I mean, you mentioned, the defense as well on that side. If you look at the lines, the offensive line, the defensive line, there really is not a bad player in the bunch, Fred. I mean, can you think of an
I can't
Eagles
think
team
of him
that has been better stacked than this one?
No, these guys are stacked, and you said it best when you offensive and defensive lines, because obviously I know that sounds old and trite, all that stuff, but that's where it wins. That's where you win, and you've got, I just think, you've got Patrick Mahomes, as I said, the newly crowned MVP, but the guy you're going to have to block, I think it's going to be tough for Kansas City that is going to come after him.
What's his name?
Yeah, let me see. I've got it right here. They blitzed him really good, but they're going to have to. Here it is, Chris Jones. That's going to be the tough one to block him because he is a big-time player, and I think that's what the key is going to be, is trying to keep Jalen Hurts clean, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, we will see. I mean, Chris Jones, obviously this is a real talented guy, and the Eagles are going to have their hands full with him. I mean, look, talk about the Eagles roster, the Chiefs roster also. I mean, they just have some incredible players behind Mahomes. And of course, they have Travis Kelsey, their tight end, whose brother Jason Kelsey plays on the Eagles. That's one of the storylines that's been getting the most attention this week. These are two brothers, and it's unbelievable. I was just thinking about the mom and dad in this
really
family.
neat, isn't it?
It's one thing that you have a couple kids who make it into the NFL, but these are two guys, two brothers, who are elite NFL players.
They're starters on Super Bowl teams.
On Super Bowl teams, and I think that they're both future Hall of Famers too. I mean, Jason Kelsey is the center for the Eagles, and he really is the key in a lot of ways to the Eagles' running game.
Sure.
And when it comes to short downage and having to pick up on a 4th and 1, and the Eagles will go on 4th and 1 pretty much every time. And he's the key. He's the guy that allows Jalen Hurts to get that extra yard and get them the first down.
What the center does, though, I mean, he comes up, he identifies the defense right away, and he calls all the blocking schemes. So he identifies the defense, and so he's got to set everybody else up along that offensive line in addition to himself. So he really does a great job. And then, of course, Travis Kelsey as the tight end really does. I mean, he's Patrick Mahomes' favorite receiver. And I've always said this, the tight end is always the quarterback's favorite and best friend, because when other things break down, the tight end is the guy that sneaks out. He might try to make a little block and then sneak out and do that. But yeah, you've got two really all-pro guys there, in the Kelsey brothers. So I mean, that is really kind of neat.
It is neat, and they have a podcast that they started this year. I don't
yeah.
know if you've listened to it, but it really is clear that they really love each other, and to have two brothers going up against each other in the Super Bowl, not that they're going to be on the field at the same time, but they really are. It really is. It'll be a fun thing to watch, and such an exciting thing for those parents. I mean, as a parent myself, I can't even imagine how proud they must be.
Here's the thing too. Getting back to football, the secondary, all right, for Kansas City has given up some big plays.
Yeah.
So if they can go over the top, if Jalen Hurts can go over the top, Philadelphia will be in good shape. But the last time these guys played, all right, Kansas City blitzed Hurts about a third of the time. Steve Spagnuolo is the defensive coordinator, and he blitzed them what? So Jalen was 7 of 15 for 62 yards. He was much younger then, and that was a much different game.
That's right. I think you can go back and look at some of the past matchups between these two teams when they have faced off against each other, and we were talking before. I think that the Chiefs have the advantage, have won more than the Eagles have in these contests. But
that's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago. These are different rosters, and this is a whole different ball game. We're talking about the Super Bowl, so I don't really think you can go back and look at how these two teams have matched up in the past as any indication of what we're going to see on Sunday night, because like we said, these are different teams, different players, and hopefully for the Eagles, it's going to be a different result, that they'll be more successful than they have against the Chiefs in the past.
I love watching Patrick Mahomes play, though. I got to tell you that. Just the way his arm is just unreal. I mean, he throws from different angles, and he can let it fly and just let it zip from all those different angles. And I think that's what I enjoy watching him the most, because he does that, and he's got that arm talent.
He is fun to watch. I mean, you got to respect him, and he too. I mean, when he's not injured, if he's feeling well, he can run with the ball just as well as Hurts. But the way that he makes plays. But isn't that the thing with all great quarterbacks? They find themselves. You think that they're going to get sacked, or they're going to get pulled down, or they're going to have to throw the ball out of bounds, and then they just find someone to throw the ball to, or they find a lane where they can pick up a few yards with their legs. And that's what Mahomes has been able to do in his I think this is his 6th season now. I mean, it's just been incredible to watch his progression and to see what he's been able to do with these these Chiefs teams over the last couple of years, the success that they've had.
Let's move on down here, okay? Our next topic: what would a win mean for both sides? So, what would a win mean for your Philadelphia Eagles? Is they're back in it again. So this would be number 2, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that, and I've been spending a lot of time listening to Philadelphia sports talk radio.
Yeah, that's a whole nother time. I mean, that's
which
incredible
is,
right
you
there,
know,
right?
Which is a lot of fun. To hear all the guys from the local neighborhoods in South Philly.
I
and
love
in
it. Tony,
and,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Tony in Downingtown and all these guys. Al from Upper Darby.
I love it.
But everybody seems to have a chip on their shoulder. They don't feel, and these are the fans. I'm speaking about the fans, not the franchise and the players and the coaches. But Philadelphia sports fans feel like the Eagles do not get the respect that they deserve. And so a win on Sunday night, I think, would be validation for Philadelphia sports fans that yes, this was not this dream season was not a mirage. It was the real deal. I mean, this Eagles team that was the last team to lose. They were undefeated through, I think, week 9 or 10. They finished up same as the Chiefs, 13-3, I believe. But just an incredible season to cap it off with a Super Bowl win. I think again would be validation that they are legit and perhaps one of the best teams ever put together and maybe the start of I don't want to say dynasty, but
why not? You just
why
did.
Not? They've got a bunch of young guys, including their quarterback. There's no reason to think that they couldn't have this kind of success over the next 4 or 5 years. So that'll be fun to watch.
You're from the area, and for fans who haven't been there, I love going to games there. I mean, the fans they'll get after you a little bit if you're from out of town, but it's so cool because right in that area in South Philly, there's it's the mecca of cheesesteaks, right?
That's right.
I mean, it's the mecca. You've got
Pat's
Geno's.
and Geno's, they're right across the street from
Pat's,
each other.
all right there. I mean, it's all lit up at night, right?
That's true.
And it's so cool.
That's a big tourist
if you're
spot.
A fan,
that's where people head when they come to Philly. And they want to I will tell you though, and this is a special tip for anybody watching this right now, is the Jim's Steaks on 4th and South is the best cheesesteak in the city.
And that's not that far away, is it?
And it's not that far away. It's more in Center City as opposed to South Philly where Pat's and Geno's are. But you can't go wrong in Philly when it comes to cheesesteaks. But you're right, that whole area in South Philly, it's a sports complex. If you're from Jersey like I am and you drive over the Walt Whitman Bridge, you've got the Lincoln Financial Field where the Eagles play, Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play, and then you've got the Wells Fargo Center where the Sixers and the Flyers play, and they're all right there.
Right there,
I mean,
it's kind of neat.
They share parking lots with each other, so it's a real fun experience. And growing up, my dad, took me. I was lucky enough. We got to go to a lot of games as a kid growing up, mostly Phillies games, because those tickets were easier to come by. But we would go and sit up in the 700 level and the cheap seats at the old vet. And that's where a lot of guys would go. A lot of beer drinking going on.
Oh man!
And then the Phillies were perennial losers in that time frame for the most part, and so you get a lot of upset, drunken fans. Letting their upset be known and screaming. I remember my dad more than once having to turn to some people that were sitting near us and say, "Hey, I got some kids are here. Let's watch the language, guys." Because Philadelphia fans, they like to express themselves.
Yes, that's a very good. That's a very good way to put it. I can remember being there for playoffs, with the Braves. And they beat the Braves.
Yeah.
Okay, they beat the Braves in the playoffs to go to the World Series.
93?
93, a long time ago. And they're pelting the media, us, and anybody in the Atlanta party as we're leaving the stadium. And they won.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm sure they were upset about some play that didn't get called their way in the 4th inning, and so they were going to take it out on whoever they could find. Listen, Philadelphia, it's cliche, isn't it, that Philadelphia sports fans are obnoxious and rowdy? I think that obviously there are some who fit that bill, But then there are some like me who try to be polite.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I take my kids to games, you know, we don't mind if there are fans from the other team that are sitting near us. So even take a picture with them and enjoy. Hey, this is sports. I mean, this is
supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
This is about escape. This is about a good time. But yes, there are people in Philly who have been known to get a little out of hand. And in fact, at the old vet, they actually had a holding cell.
Yes, they did. They had a jail at the
and
vet.
a
I remember
judge
that. Yeah.
in the stadium.
In the
So that
stadium.
if you got caught doing something during the game, they could take you right in front of a judge and lock you up.
Right.
So I don't know whether that was a deterrent or whether some people are like, oh, let's see how this works out. But yeah, I don't think they have that at Lincoln Financial, but that was a feature at the old vet.
You know, I do remember that. All right, let's move on down now. Super Bowl predictions.
All right.
So what are your thoughts on the Super Bowl predictions? I know who you're going to take.
Well, all right. Yes, I'm going to go with the Eagles here for the win. But I actually think this is going to be a close game. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I'm going to give you a score prediction of 31-17. That's what I'm looking at right now. So I think the Eagles are going to double the score of the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are a good team, but I think Mahomes is not 100%. And I think that the Eagles just have too many offensive weapons in their toolbox. What do you think?
I think the Eagles are going to win, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I think it's going to be a late thing, and I think that Jalen Hurts is going to throw a game-winning touchdown late.
I like it.
And I think in the fourth quarter, I think you're going to be surprised because I'm going to say that Patrick Mahomes is going to throw a little trail route to Travis Kelsey to score to put the Chiefs on top. Then the Eagles come down the field and win it. It'll be exciting. You'll be happy.
Sounds like a nail biter.
You probably won't be at
nail
work.
Biter. Yeah,
he won't be at work on Monday.
Well, I will be here on Monday regardless, but I will be a much happier news anchor on Monday if the Eagles win. It'll be fun. But look, these games. I think that a lot of people who I've spoken to, around the newsroom, these are folks who are they don't have any skin in the game.
Right. Yeah.
They just want a good game.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what we all want. We want a good game, and I think we want to see Mahomes be healthy. I don't want there to be any excuses after the game that Patrick Mahomes' injury played a role in any way. I want this to be a clean game where both teams are able to play to the best of their abilities. May the best team, may the Philadelphia Eagles win on Sunday night.
May the Philadelphia Eagles win on Friday. Okay, now, just finally, here's our last topic every night, Rick.
Yeah.
We always say, what's on your mind? Anything on your mind in sports or news or whatever's on your mind, go ahead, have at it.
Well, I mean, all right, so I'll just stick with the theme of sports since this is a sports show, and I will show my love for Philadelphia teams. I mean, like we said, the Phillies had a lot of success last year going to a World Series that nobody thought they were going to go to. But as a result, they had a shortened off season, and only 1 week after the Super Bowl on Sunday night, spring training is getting underway.
Right.
And so I am thinking about baseball. Even as I think about Sunday night and get ready for that football game, I am already looking ahead to spring training and hoping that the Phillies this year can do what they almost did last year, which is win the World Series. I mean, for that to happen the same year that the Eagles win the Super Bowl, that would be incredible. Almost too much to ask for.
No, it's never too much to ask for. You can always ask for it, right? You might not get it.
That's true. If you don't ask, the answer is no.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to spring training as well. I like to see the Braves get back in it. I mean, they went in and they won it the year before last, and then they've gone to the playoffs every year. And Brian Sticker's such a good guy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them back in it again and see what happens.
He's great. They've got so many great young players. I mean, Michael Williams.
Michael Harris,
rather. Who's from
Vaughn
here.
Grissom, yeah.
Vaughn Grissom. I think it's going to be a great season, and I'm looking forward to seeing the matchup between the Phillies and the Braves, and that race in the NL East all season long.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus Sports Tonight. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Fred. All right, is that it?